Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast. We're excited this week to be welcoming a husband and wife pair as an owner group. I'm Brett Gilliland. I'm the host of today's episode, and I have with me Grant and Aaron Stala. Their company is called Stala Services. They're based out of Nebraska, but really they serve a number of states throughout the United States. They have a really interesting business that I will let them tell you more about, but let me do my host version of introducing their business. So, several years back, Grant started this business. You can think of it as the bathroom facilities on wheels. It's really nice bathroom facilities on wheels. It's not your porta potty kind of service, and we're talking showers, laundry facilities, whatever specialty facilities you need, wherever you need them. They have specialty trailers that they service your needs that way. So really interesting business. They're again based out of Nebraska, but they serve states all over the United States. And then a few years back, Grant met Aaron and they dated and got married a couple years ago. And now they're co-owners of this business and they're working together to grow their business. So welcome Grant and Aaron to the show. We're thankful that you're here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, pumped to be here.
Yeah. Okay. So, Grant, since you were in the business first, I'll let you
Yep.
get the first word. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into this business, and then we'll talk about Aaron joining the business and what the two of you together are trying to build.
Yeah, you bet. Well, the first 7 years were definitely not as fun as the last few with Aaron in them. So very thankful we're past that point. But it started in college where I was studying business at the University of Nebraska in Lincoln, Nebraska, and grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. They were there in real estate, mobile homes, and um, did some commercial and residential, and I thought that was really fun. I thought it was neat that they were providing a value and working with their hands and got to do um, just be flexible with their time, their schedule, and have seasons in their business and be able to work from home and go travel and work from different places if they wanted to and kind of choose their future. So I thought that was pretty neat and tested out some different things in college working for Gallup. That was a great experience. Um, and also just working for a few other companies that just realized I wanted to work for myself and wanted to take that risk and have that leap. And so my senior year, or really my junior year, I kind of experimented with several different business ideas and took several different classes in the Center for Entrepreneurship at the University of Nebraska, as well as the Engler program. It's an agricultural entrepreneurship program at the University of Nebraska, and those were great programs to experiment and learn and try some different business ideas. But found out about restroom trailers, which is like you mentioned, it's an upscale um, portable restroom. It's like your bathroom at home, but we can bring it to you. So if you have an event out on a few acres and you need a few hundred people for a wedding, we can bring a restroom trailer out and provide an experience that is comfortable. If it's extremely hot out, we have air conditioning. If it's cold out, we have heat. Um, so that was I thought that was a really cool idea because it was functional, it was upscale, it provided you needed a high level of service, and that's something that I'm passionate about is providing a level of service that be able to take care of and host people, and just the ability to travel and meet people where they are is is uh, is really fun, and it seemed like a really good idea. So started with one, and that was about 10 years ago, and we have 60 trailers now. We have different trailers, like you mentioned, different specialty trailers, restroom trailers, shower trailers, handicap accessible trailers, and we travel all over the U.S. bringing these specialty trailers to um, different remodels for Home Depot remodels or Lowe's or Chick-fil-A's, Walmart, Sam's Club, Costco. So we do a lot of remodels. We do disaster relief work. We support migrant uh, communities in different places in different cities where there's an influx of people. We'll bring supporting trailers and products to help support an influx of people. And this event season, we're ramping up when people start to host more and more events. So that's kind of where we're at now. Aaron and I met, I don't know, 3 years ago, and we've been married for 2 years, and that's been a wonderful. I'll let her go into that more, but that's been a really fun partnership, and it's an example our parents set for us in being able to do business together and work together, and so that's something that both Aaron and I wanted to start learning about and start doing, and kind of cutting our teeth on how do we do this.
Well, here you are doing it, so that's great.
Here we are. We're doing it.
We'll give the mic to Erin now. She gets to tell the her part of the story, which is she meets this guy who owns a business, and it's not a business that maybe everybody's known about. So she's learned about you. She learned about the business. Apparently, she was interested in one or both because here she is, right? So, Erin, why don't you tell us about your part in joining the business and what you guys are trying to build together?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, Grant gave a great kind of background on the last 10 years. I came in the last 3 years. So we met. Our first date was talking about business and accountability charts and marketing and the whole works. So I come from a Chick-fil-A background and have had kind of a marketing social media bent to what I've been up to. So right off the bat, we were talking about all the fun business stuff. So I think for us, that's a sign of a great date. And so after that, we started dating really within a week of that, and we like to say we met and got married within 9 months. So I guess the saying is true: when you know. And from there on out, I kind of gradually started being more and more a part of the business. It really was a matter of time till I was fully immersed. And within just a couple of months, yeah, I went full time within Stalo Services and just tried to kind of see what different roles there were that made the most sense for me and my background to kind of fit into. But then you soon learn as an owner that you kind of have to fit all areas at different times. So that was a fun learning process, and we're still figuring it out as we go, but enjoying the process.
So you guys have had some nice growth. I don't know, when the 60th trailer happened, but you started with one. You're now up to around 60. How much of that growth have you experienced just in the last couple of years since you've been married?
Yeah. So our trajectory for the last few years, we had about 30% growth, and then 100% growth, and then 30% and 30% the last 2 years. So that seems like a really good number for us. Obviously, we're a rental company and asset heavy, but um, we're able to work on utilization and some strategies where we're not so asset heavy, and we can make it so that we're more focused on utilization and service as a revenue stream versus just owning these products.
Yeah, yeah, I'm fascinated by all businesses, and I think that we could talk forever about the reality. I mean, it's very interesting to have that much inventory of
Yeah.
specialty trailers and how to keep all that utilized, efficiently. Um, we won't spend a lot of time on today's podcast on that particular challenge because it is fairly unique to certain types of businesses. But let's talk about the typical challenges that come as you grow a business, because it's not just trailers, it's people, and you've got a larger team now than you did a few years ago. So if you don't mind, why don't you talk to us about some of the biggest challenges as leaders of your business and growing the right team? I think that would be very relevant to lots of businesses listening.
Yeah, great question, and it's one that I think we're as leaders, owners, and people who are wanting to always learn. That's something we're always trying to figure out is what does the business need today? What's it going to need in 10 years? And how do we kind of stay in front of this and to continue to guide and not start being reactive? So it within the growth in people, man, that's been a good challenge for us, just trying to figure out, when do you hire, what type of person do you hire, how do you get that person onboarded and integrated into the team well, and what's the timing on all of that. And it's still something where it's one of those tensions to be managed a lot of times of one shop is going to feel a little bit tighter sometimes just because it's busier, and maybe in certain months it's going to feel very busy, but then the next month not going to be as busy. So can you really justify hiring one person when it's going to be a month worth of go time? So really we've had to get pretty creative with bringing in sometimes it's contractors, sometimes it's cleaners, sometimes it's sending one person to another shop, sometimes it's hiring. So really developing like the skill and the eye to realize when to hire and when to get creative.
Yeah, I think a lot of businesses struggle with that. In fact, it's a common question that we get when we're dealing with businesses like, how do I know when I can afford to make that next hire? And so there's some math that can go into that. Some of it's just experience and knowing the ebbs and flows of the busy times. But that's a tricky one. Is there anything that you would point to as I don't know, nuggets or key learnings that you've had as you've navigated that dynamic?
Yeah, I can speak to that with one of the ways that we consider it is thinking about the profit engine for the business and how do we provide value, how do we serve customers, um, and then what right now is our biggest bottleneck in doing that. So where can we when we visualize the people side of our business, where is the biggest bottleneck? Maybe we can think through our different areas like finance, sales, marketing, people, and then we think through what if let's say the organizational development channel of our business, if we had another person in there, that would make it so that our customer relations area would flourish. And but that's not as much as if operationally we had a new head of operations to fully unlock that channel, and that could support revenue growth up to another 30% next year by having the right hire. And that's I would say imagining where the bottleneck is, and then imagining on the other side of that, if there's a person in there, where's the biggest potential for exponential growth
Got
and
it.
value created.
Yeah, yeah. So I certainly don't want to put words in your mouth, but what I think I heard you say, and it's as a matter of restate for others, maybe in a slightly different way, is that you try to step back and look at the whole. You're thinking
Hmm.
about strategic priorities that you have, and then the best way to allocate resources. Because let's face it, we don't have infinite resources, right? We have
Yep.
we have a finite number of resources right now today to allocate, and so you're doing the analysis and making the trade-off decisions about, well, if we optimize here, what kind of benefit would we yield from getting that additional hire there versus if we put them over here, that could lead to this outcome in this time frame. And so you're stepping back, looking at the whole, because I think every business owner could easily justify or support somebody else justifying why we need somebody right now in this team, right? It's like,
Hmm.
we're feeling this pain right now. Okay,
Mhm.
Yep.
yeah, I could see that. Let's hire somebody. But by making that hire, we might actually be shooting ourselves in the foot on a strategic
Hmm.
initiative or a faster and bigger return somewhere else. And so
Yep.
we kind of have to slow it all down, like, look back at the whole, like step back and look at the whole thing and get clear on those decisions, those trade-off decisions that you just described. Did I get anywhere close to what you were describing?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're not trying to solve for a pain point, like you mentioned. We're trying to provide more value, provide more growth, provide, you know, better profits. What's the answer to the upside versus just um, taking away some of the downside?
Right. And
Yes.
it's really that whole concept of beginning with the end in mind. Really, where do you want this thing to go? And how do you kind of like back up, build the pieces to get there?
Well, and I think you guys have the luxury, and a lot of husband and wife dynamic duos that we deal with share this. There's definitely a pro with that. There's other relationship dynamics we're not going to get into today, uh, but there's a pro because where in many businesses it's one owner trying to figure all that out. In this type of business, at least you have each other to work it out, and you have two of you that can go and actually implement things versus one person. So there's a definite advantage there. Um, cool, man. I wish we had hours to talk about that. Let's get into one or two other items though before we have to wrap up. If as you think about moving from that, I think there's a stage change on the ones and threes of revenue. So when you triple from 1 million to 3 million, there's some stuff there that you have to figure out. When you go from 3 million to 10 million, there's some stuff there that you have to figure out. And so every stage there's new stuff. When you think about where you've been in this 1 to 3 million range as you've grown, what have been some other key learnings that you've had, whether it's around hiring the right people or meeting rhythms, planning and execution rhythms, whatever you want to talk about. But what have been some of the key lessons that's enabled you to grow to where you are today?
Yeah, I think something that's been very helpful for us is continuing to reevaluate our vision. And that's for our sake, but it's also for the sake of our team. And it's that whole thing where there's no vision, people perish, and that stands just as true personal life and professional life. So as the owners, it's on Grant and I to make sure that we have a vision that's worth something, and really creating a vision big enough to where everyone can kind of fit their long-term plan into that as individuals and see themselves within the business as a whole. So that's something that we've really found is helpful. Just making sure that you're always reevaluating, like, where are we wanting to go, how are we going to get there, but is that kind of end goal, is that something that people really can get along for the ride?
So I love that, Aaron. I'm gonna flip the mic over to Grant here for a second because I'm curious. For the first 7 years of your business without Aaron, how much of a
Yeah.
role did vision play in building what you had built to that point?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was 21 when I started it. I just turned 21, and I I don't think I know very much right now, and so I definitely didn't know very much 10 years ago. Um, so I would say that the consistent theme though is that faith played a major part in the business. And starting up, it was me and God and my dog, and that's kind of the foundation of where it started. And as it grows, you add some more complexities in there, but that's what remained true is Aaron and I are we have our priorities where we're both pursuing God, and then it's our marriage, and then it's our business, and next to that there can be some other things that we want to prioritize, but we do have our top two there, and it's clearly defined. And that's something that starting out I saw that modeled in my parents, where it was clearly relationship with God and their marriage, and then business. So that priority was clear, and I think that's an important aspect as you um, as you have a relationship to know, you know, I know where Aaron stands when we're looking at making a decision about uh, time uh, uh, starting another business, or anything that will take extra time. Like it's we know our priorities. So I would say that's consistent with where we're going as far as the business vision. We set that. Aaron can talk about the business vision, but that's something that has changed, but it is the ethos of who Grant and Aaron are. But now it's more of a mixture of us two versus, when I started it was just more of an undeveloped. When I started, it was to provide abundant hosting experiences in times of unique need.
Yeah. Yeah, but you did have something. And when we started the podcast, you talked about I guess, the formative role that the education that you had, the
Yeah,
entrepreneurial programs that you went through, you would have at least been taught about having some vision. And it sounds like you did. I loved what you just rattled off
yeah,
there as a purpose, or a banner that kind of led what your cause.
yeah.
And now that Aaron's part of it, it sounds like that's that's become more clear as a combined
Mhm.
thing that you've owned. But everything that I've heard from you today so far is moving away from being reactive, being very
Mhm.
intentional, being very proactive, or creative is a better word in my opinion, creating an intentional future together. And you have clarity, those clear priorities: God, our marriage, then the business.
Yep.
And I think a lot of husband and wife pairs could learn from that. We don't have to get super religious here. Whether or not you believe in God, getting clear about what your own priorities are as a couple, and where the business fits into that and how it fits in is a huge win in my opinion. And then for you guys to go from, 1 million to more than that now with 60 trailers, that takes a recasting of a vision. Like you said, it takes refreshing that clarity every so often so we know where we're going next. So Aaron, is there anything you want to add to this vision setting, or the clarity that you guys together have been able to have drive the where you're going with this business?
Yeah, yeah. So Grant kind of spoke to what had been set up, and then really within the last just this year, we've kind of revamped our vision to be setting the industry standard. So first reason is I just can't remember very much, so I needed something short. So setting the industry standard is something I can remember, and I think most people will be able to kind of keep a few words together for the vision. So yeah, I think it's something that's really helped be the guidepost. But I would also say, like, just like any other business owners or anyone who's working a job, like, we have days where it's like, well, we can have a great vision, but it's still going to be a hard day. We can
Mhm.
have a great vision and things are still going to feel like they're falling apart. We're going to have a great vision, but hey, the hard conversations have got to happen to get to that place. So it sounds kind of like one of those, like, ooh, wow, have a great vision, and then like everything falls into place. And it really isn't true. That unfortunately, it's just not true. So that we really like encourage people to have that vision, but also know there's just a healthy amount of reality that goes into like making that vision come true. It's kind of like set the vision, lace up your boots, let's go.
Yeah, but I think both of you would agree that without the vision, then it's just chaos, and you're just sort of like, okay, that all that other stuff is still going to happen, but we don't have the clarity of direction on where to move forward. That's the
Mhm.
power of having the clarity, is that you're actually moving you're directing that chaos in an intentional direction.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Very much agree.
Okay, so in as far as, like, I guess, parting words as we wrap this up, how can people learn more about Stala Services? Where can they connect with you guys on social media, or wherever you guys like to connect? What's a good way to plug into Grant and Aaron and Stala Services?
Yeah, you can find us on our website, stala.com. We're active on social media platforms. Message me on LinkedIn. I'd love to connect. And then, yeah, feel free to send us an email as well, however you guys like to connect. We love it.
Mhm.
Grant, anything else to add to that?
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, why don't I can spell Stala for them, but you could probably do it better than me. Why don't you help them know where
Yeah.
to find it?
Just head over to stahla.com, stala.com.
All right.
Yeah, we'd
Stala.
love to connect, and we're passionate about just hanging out with business owners and people out there in the grind. So if anyone has any questions or has any advice for us, we'd love to talk to you.
Very good. Well, thank you, Grant and Aaron, both for being on our show today. This is the Seven Figure Journey podcast. and it's dedicated to all of you seven-figure business owners out there who are trying to do the thing, just like Grant and Aaron, and what they're building at Stala Services. So thanks again for being here, guys.
Our
Yeah,
pleasure. Thank
thank
you for
you.
having us on.
All right, for you listeners out there, please share, like, review, do all those things so that as many seven-figure business owners as possible can benefit from the things that the Stalas shared with us today. We'll have lots of episodes like this every week, trying to help everybody get through this growth journey together as we go out and do great things in the world. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.